Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I wanted to put together just an update video to recap my first 2.5 weeks working with the Renaissance Periodization Dieting app. I'm going to try my best. This will be my first time putting two videos together, but hopefully you can see on the screen right now. I'll have this overview where you can see me, and then I'll also have me scrolling through the app itself so that you can look through my daily progress and what my diet's been like, as well as my overall progress on track for North Americans. So overall, I'm feeling really good and really motivated. My motivation's never been so high, and we're sitting about 6 weeks out, 6.5 weeks out, something like that from the competition. So overall, I feel like the app is doing its job, because in the past, with dieting down, I have been nervous, right? Whenever I'm kind of going by my gut, as far as, am I eating enough to sustain training? Am I losing weight too fast, losing it too slow? Those kind of things. With an app to keep me on track, I can kind of like breathe a sigh of relief, because I understand, as long as I consume this, I'm not going to be losing muscle, and my strength should be there as long as I adapt to my slightly lower body weight. And that's been the biggest plus for getting back on this app. The first time that I used the RP dieting app was during COVID, so I had no competition in sight. So I haven't felt this feeling of like reassurance that I'm eating enough for performance. And that's probably the number one thing that I've enjoyed thus far. Now, as far as progress goes, I would say I'm executing exactly how I wanted to. This is the game plan, and in my first video, I stated, hey, I wanted to be somewhere in that 85% adherence range. Basically, high adherence, but I still wanted to enjoy my summer. I would say overall I've done that so far. My adherence is at 97%. So basically, I've only been drastically over for one of my meals. And in these 18 days, I've traveled to Philadelphia to visit a friend. I've gone to camp for two-day overnight stints, where basically they were making great looking food. It was like homemade pepperoni rolls, cookies, ice cream, basically anything you could imagine was being thrown at me. And because I did meal prep, I was able to adhere to my diet and turn those things down. So, that kind of fueled the fire of motivation, so to speak, because I was able to stand my ground on those things. And the app is kind of like my guiding light. So that's been very good. Now, if you watch as I scroll through the days, there are some meals where, I might miss my carbs a little bit and be over fat. And I just do the math calculation in my head. And as long as I miss 2 grams of carb for every 1 gram of fat I'm over, I count it as that macros, because ultimately I know I like super fatty foods. They started me out on a super high carb diet. So, if I miss those, that's going to be okay, as long as the calorie balance is fine, because 1 gram of fat is 9 calories and 2 grams of carbs is 8. So we can just about do the math to make that work out. And then I've been really diligent on making sure my protein needs are met. So overall, that has been good. Let's see here. As far as my weight goes, it's trending in the right direction. You'll notice that my starting weight, like my progress says that I'm higher than my starting weight. That was basically an error on my part. Whenever I signed up for the app, I put in what I thought I was, like 127.2 or something like that. And whenever I weighed in, I was over 130 kilos, which part of that had to do with me being a little bit bloated, but I think I did get up to that body weight legitimately. So I kind of started behind the 8 ball on the progress, but that's okay, because if you remember, I set up the diet to be to where I hit 119.5 like a month after the competition because I want to be a little heavy going into the competition. So as long as I have this trend line going down, I'm totally okay with it, and we are there. So overall, yesterday my weigh-in, or no, it was this morning, my weigh-in was 126.9 kilograms, which is still heavy for where I'd like to water cut from, but we've lost about 3.3 kilograms of weight in the 18 days, which is somewhere around 7 pounds. Now, in a perfect world, right, I can pretty easily water cut from 125, right? That's kind of the cutoff. I've water cut from 128 before. It's miserable, and I don't want to do that. And then 124 to 123 is like easy water cut. With this competition being in the Cayman Islands, all of the flights out are super early in the morning. And last time I competed in Costa Rica for the North American Championships, that super early flight time set me back about a day on my water cut. So taking that into account, I would like to start this water cut light, somewhere in that 124 to 123.5 range if possible. So what that kind of means is I need to go from 126.9 right now to that 123.5, call it. So that'd be 3.5 more kilos over the next 5 weeks, which is super doable. That's about 7 pounds in five weeks. There you go. Do the math on that. It's like 1.2 pounds a week or so, which for someone of my body size is very doable. That's less than 1% of body weight a week, right? So, yeah, weight's trending in the correct direction. As far as training goes, I'm getting ready to go right now for my heavy day of training for this week. We've been amidst a deload and a pivot type of block right now, so the weights are a little bit lighter, but we can tell they're starting to ramp up. So overall, my strength levels have been as high as they've ever been while losing weight. So that's exactly what we want. Hopefully we can keep that up. And I just need to get used to the slightly different leverages. But as long as we're holding on to muscle mass, that shouldn't be a problem. Okay. Let's see. So I've talked about my weight. I've talked about kind of the meals. You'll notice it's very carb heavy. I also like how they cycle the days. So on training days, I like to eat a lot, and that's exactly what they do. So even tomorrow or today, my training day, I have 560 grams of carbs that I'm allotted to eat. That's a big deal. I really like that for a heavy day of training. And then they kind of cut off some of those calories on the days that are backed off of some of my heavier days. So like Tuesday, for example, I was at camp. I only ate like 280 grams of carbs or something around there. I was pretty hungry, don't get me wrong, but like I said about being able to rely on the app, the protein being where it needs to be, I can trust, hey, I'm going to be strong enough for my next training session, and I totally was, so that's no problem. Okay, so I think that about does it as far as my recap over the first 2.5 weeks with the RP dieting app. So far, we are right on track with what I want, feeling strong and ready to go. So I'm going to go on and hit this heavy training session. Hopefully it goes well. Thank you all for watching. Please like, subscribe. Let me know down below what your dieting goals are. I'd like to hear those. And until next time, happy lifting.